much fun, and you are all welcome every second and fourth Wednesday of the month at noon. We value our partnerships with many of the organizations in the area. We have a joint membership, for example, with Carmel Clay Historical Society that we started last year. Carmel High School, we host their Monumentals competition winners every year. And the public library has been very helpful to us. And as he already told you about the sister cities. Last year we had to hire our first paid collections manager because one of our co-founders retired after over 2 decades of volunteer service. And that enabled us to double the number of special exhibits. So we now have 8 to 10 special exhibits in addition to our permanent collection. A small grant from Clay Township last year helped us with that, and we are very grateful. This year we're asking for $11,400. The proposed activities comprise mounting new special exhibits in 2018, creating interpretive signage and information panels, offering additional create-your-own art sessions, using materials that, of course, would be provided by the museum, and organizing workshops for all levels of miniaturists, craftspeople, and the general public. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sorry to cut you off.
That's it.
Thank you, Elaine. Hamilton County Parks. Ben's Ranch. Do we have Carmel Symphony Orchestra we're going to get to in a few minutes. Are there any other organizations that would like to? Ma'am?
Carmel Youth Assistance Program.
Come on up.
Hi, my name is Amy Tobias, and I am a board member of the Carmel Youth Assistance Program. Thank you so much for this opportunity to present to you today. Carmel Youth Assistance Program is a new organization, started in 2015. 2016 was our first full year. Our mission is to serve as an early advocate intervention specialist for youth ages 3 to 17, for youth that are facing challenges in life. We are a coalition of community members, schools, government agencies that aim to make referral and provide direct services for these youth to help reach these at-risk children, to keep them off the streets, out of the system, and to help them stay in school. So thank you very much for our grant last year that helped provide services. We had about 63 caseloads in 2016, and a lot of them were very much a referral basis. Because of being a new organization, we didn't have a very large budget. But now we are on great momentum in 2017 and are requesting $30,000 to help provide the following services. We're hoping to set up a basic need and utility assistance fund. We are hoping to provide mentor training. Our mentorship is one of our services, and we are just starting this year. We have about 5 waiting to be matched with students. We're also asking for mental health counseling services. In addition to referring the families in need, we are looking to allocate about $5,000 to help any that need assistance in paying for the therapy services. Parenting classes as well, tutoring services. We do have tutoring provided through some Carmel High School students, but if there was any special circumstances or more professional services needed, we'd like to be able to provide Learning Center scholarships. And we're also looking to increase our summer camp scholarship fund to provide the area youth in need for scholarships to Camp Tecumseh, Carmel Dad's Club, Boys and Girls Club, sleepaway camps, and day camps. And then we're also looking for a small portion of the funding to provide a laptop for our one staff member or an iPad to be able for her to take to presentations and be able to work from home. And also, lastly, a small portion for professional development for our one staff member to provide to attend a Indiana Youth Institute conference. So, As you can see, we are a new organization, but we are making great impact on Carmel's youth, and we're looking to grow and make it even more impact. To the end of this year, we'll be hiring a part-time staff member to help our social worker, because she is our only staff member. We are looking to hire a part-time in 2017. But for 2018, we would be so appreciative if you would consider our request. With your support, you can help us achieve our goal of building a healthy community today by investing in the youth. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy.
Oh, one more thing. I will submit electronically our materials instead of handouts.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time this evening. My name is Jennifer Miller. I'm the Executive Director at HAND, which is the Hamilton County Area Neighborhood Development. Our mission is to build community through the development of housing options, providing home repairs to help seniors age in place, and then we also provide classes to support our community and our residents. Our request before you this evening is to help our organization cover the costs of impact fees, connection fees, permit fees, and other associated fees from the Clay Township Regional Wastewater District, as well as the City of Carmel, for our Home Place Gardens development. Our Home Place Gardens development is around the corner here between 105th and 106th, just off of McPherson. Our development proposal includes 10 units that would serve ages 55 and older in 8 of those units, and then 2 units are set aside for survivors of violence. Those referrals would come to us from Prevail. Our request from you this evening is $59,000. We understand that this exceeds the cap that is on your applications and materials. However, we were strongly encouraged to apply and request the full amount of the fees that we will incur for this development. The grant would be a direct investment back to the community, and the entire amount would go strictly towards the Home Place Gardens development. It would not provide any funding for our other programs or our operations, so it would strictly apply to the fees for Home Place Gardens. If you have any questions for me about HAND or our request this evening, I can take them at this time. Otherwise, I want to thank you for your consideration this evening.
And Jennifer, any handouts or grant application that you can share with us after the fact would be appreciated.
Absolutely. We had submitted it earlier this year, but there may have been some confusion as to how it applied, so we'll resubmit.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Sir?
Good evening. I'm Mike Podgorski. I'm the local missions minister at the Carmel United Methodist Church. I thank you all for your past support and hopefully your continued support with specifically our food pantry. We have 8 local missions at our church that are very active and making differences in the community, but I'm here to talk about the food pantry in particular tonight. We feed Hamilton County residents, or help to feed those folks, and the only requirement that we have is that they're a Hamilton County resident. We're asking for $5,000 in this grant, and Debbie has the grant in her possession. We started this food pantry mission in 1992, so we celebrated 25 years this year. It started out in a closet handing out some canned goods, and now it's one of the largest food pantries amongst the 40 food pantries in Hamilton County. We're open more hours and provide more food, and we provide things other than food, such as household and personal items that aren't covered by, for example, food stamps. This is soap and deodorant and laundry detergent, things like that. So those are expenses that come to us outside of the food that we get from Gleaners. Some is free and some is not. I know the Gleaners guy earlier said the food is all, it's not all free. We also have a working match program with Meijer that helps to provide the food, but we have found in the most recent year or two that we're starting to expand our services from 900 to 1,300 people a month. The needs have increased, and Because of that, our expenses have increased, commercial freezers and refrigerators and pallet jacks, and when things break, and we just have a lot of needs as far as that's concerned. Over 50% of our population that we serve, they are over 65 or under 18, which goes right in line with what the Gleaners told you earlier. About a third of those folks are Clay Township residents. We have some great volunteers and leaders that are working hard to develop these relationships with Gleaners and Meyer, and of course we're funded by the church, but we do still have funding gaps in many areas. We do connect our guests with other services too, and we heard from Prevail here tonight, and there's just many people that come through our doors because the first need they have is food. And then we find people that obviously are in domestic situations, or English as a second language is one of our missions. Kids Codes is one of our missions within the church. So we connect people that come through our doors for the food pantry with all sorts of other services as well. Any questions?
Do you have a form that you could get back to us?
Oh, certainly. Yeah, I could do
We
that
have it.
and get it back to Debbie, because that's, yeah,
Thank you.
Please.
sure do.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Anyone else? Okay. We have a special request from the Carmel Symphony Orchestra. Would you like to introduce our guest?
Yes, it's my pleasure to introduce Alan Davis, who is the president and CEO of the Carmel Symphony Orchestra, and he'll explain what the needs of the orchestra are.
How are you, sir?
Thank you. Thank you. Whoops, pardon me.
Thanks, Alan.
Last year, the orchestra faced, for the first time in 17 years, the need to do a search for a new music director. And Clay Township was kind enough to fund that search for us, and I have given you the budget breakdown of how we spent that $30,000. Without that $30,000, we would have had to have done one of two things: either severely limit the scope of the national search that we did to a much more regional search, and severely limit the quality of applicants that we looked at, or we would have had to have found the money in our budget and severely reduced some of the offerings that we do, particularly our outreach programs to students would have been affected, and our ticket prices for young people would have been affected, and our ability to keep ticket prices affordable for the rest of our community would have been affected. So we're very, very grateful that you stepped up last year when we needed it and funded our search, which was extraordinarily successful. We had 134 applicants, 2 of which were even from Europe. We narrowed that down to 30, then we narrowed that down to 12, then we narrowed it to 3, and we brought the 3 in to conduct the last 3 concerts of the season. And hands down, the last candidate was just somebody who hit it out of the ballpark. The musicians fell in love with her, and the audience fell in love with her. And this next year, the Carmel community and the Clay Township residents are going to fall in love with her. Her name is Jana Himes, and the request we're making this year is kind of the logical conclusion to last year's search. We would like the township to fund the first concert of our season, which is going to be the inaugural concert for Jana, our launch into a new era of the symphony. And it's our hope that you will be the title sponsor of that, so it would be Clay Township Board and Trustee presents a concert for a new era with the Carmel Symphony Orchestra. Our audience is at least 50% Clay Township on any given year. We play for between $28,000 and $30,000 people as between our concerts at the Palladium and Carmel Fest. We have striven to be good partners with our community and to give back to the community that supports us so well. So any questions you would like to ask me?
Don't you also provide a concert for the fifth graders?
We do. We provide a free concert for every fifth grader in Carmel Clay schools and Westfield, Washington, which I know is in Clay Township, and also Heritage Christian and the Homeschool Network.
And you're asking for?
$30,000.
Any other questions?
Thank you, Alan.
Is there anybody in the audience we've overlooked? So for those of you who did not hand out information or your formal grant applications, please submit those to the trustee and the assistant trustee as soon as possible. Those are very critical in our evaluation of the financial worthiness of your requests. It's very important that you follow the rules, and I think the grants are pretty straightforward and they're very helpful for us to determine worthiness. So please do that as soon as possible. Doug, when do we notify the organizations?
Let me just add just something. Like Mr. President said earlier, that you don't have to be here, okay? But this is the time that you do your dance for them. Because when we send out to them, they're going to overlook all these packets. The only thing they will get is the actual document that form that we provided for you to fill out. We don't send them all this other stuff. If you don't give it to them tonight, they won't see that. The only thing they'll see is the actual form that you fill out. Okay, so I just want everybody to understand that. And if you sit in the front row, you get 50 plus points. So, no, I'm teasing. See, Charlie, see, Charlie knows. Okay. But no, I'm only joking. The process is now is at the end of this month, wonderful Debbie will take this, put things all together, and in July we'll send them to the board. Gives them about 2 months, 3 months to actually digest all of this. So if you want to call them and say, hey, there's something you need to know, that's up to you to call them, okay? Don't call us because we don't make this decision. They make that decision, okay? It will be, and then October or the end of September is our budget hearing, and then in middle of October we'll have our budget adoption. The adoption will be when they make that decision, because that night they approve the township's budget. Okay, and they will go through and decide on what they're going to give to each organization. You're welcome to attend. It's the middle of October, but right now it's just collecting the information and getting it out to them.
And I'd like to add something. I read everything. I go front to back through everything once or twice. So I really understand what you've done, maybe what you've missed, and what you could do. So it really is a process for it. We're not just sitting down and arbitrarily putting down figures. We really take this very seriously.
Doug, do you have any requests that didn't speak today that we don't have in front of us? Like the Carmel Fire Holiday Assistance, did they not turn anything in either?
No, the applications aren't due exactly until June 30th anyway,
Yeah.
so they'll might still
Trickle in?
Yeah.
So I want to thank you all for your presentations, your attendance, your interest, your passion with helping people and the organizations that are represented here tonight. A lot of the usual suspects are here, and we love seeing you. We've got some new candidates, some new organizations, which is wonderful as well. I know we're all here for the same thing, and that's to help the people of our county, our township, our area, enrich their lives, make their lives more meaningful and more interesting, and applaud you all for your public service efforts. So our next order is financial questions from the board. Do we have any questions?
I don't have any tonight.
Matt? Any board comments? Mary?
I do have a comment, and I just want to pull it up a minute if I could. I am one of the lucky people who get the Carmel Current today. I don't know how it's delivered through Carmel. And this was what was in the paper today. It's on the front page of the Current, and it's inside. I have talked to the Township Board about this before, but this is the first time we've seen a real group of people from various organizations pulling together. And I just wanted to comment on it because I believe the board needs to become involved with some money also. Nobody's come to us and asked for a grant, but there are 1,400 children that are at risk in the summer with no food. And, you know, the shame of it is it goes down here and it says that they depend on 2 meals a day from the school, and many of them receive the backpacks, which I've heard talked about today. And the program tries to provide nutritious meals, but this is something we need to take seriously because they mentioned in here that the reason some of the children aren't getting their meals is because their parents have to make a house payment. So, you know, you can say, well, why are they here? Well, anybody that comes out here or any place may come at the time when things are a little flush in their pockets, regardless of where you live, and then things turn. So I would like to make a request to Doug to look into this for us and see what we can do in terms of a special grant from the board to help with this effort. Thank you.
Matt?
No, I have nothing. Thank you for all coming out. Appreciate it.
Doug, do you have any announcements?
Just one, and you heard me talk earlier about this historic farms of Clay Township. How many are originally from the 50s and 60s of Clay? Anybody in here at all?
Oh, one
Oh, now
hand in
Charlie
the back.
Scott, you got to be close. When'd you move here?
When did I move here? 61.
Okay, so you're part of this. Okay, but anyway, if you want to know what your addition, the addition you are living in now, John Gray, which is a 1963 graduate, is putting together of all the farms that were in Clay Township, and you'll know what farm you live on. Now, the thing about it is, it's like the Linwood farm. Charlie Lynn developed that farm back in the 30s during the Depression. He was vice president of Lily's. You have Cricklewood Farm that was built before, but Mrs. Fairbanks, which was the daughter of Charles Fairbanks, which was the vice president under Teddy Roosevelt, that owned that farm. And it's interesting because he's got it broken down now, and of all the farms that he has searched for, there's many more yet, but it's amazing the work he's done. Anyway, what I was getting at was the fact that we have kind of done a video, and people that actually lived or worked the farm we go to the library, and they were so gracious allowing us to use their room up there. We show the video. It's usually about a 20, 25-minute video, and then that individual or persons will get up and talk about life on that farm. So if you have any interest of that kind of stuff, we do have, like I say, the Schweitzer farm, which was the Schweitzer that won the first race at the Indianapolis 500. His grandfather did. And what I mean by that, the first race was only 2 laps. It was in 1909. So, and he was a heck of an engineer. But there's a lot of, the farms up here were hobby farms for the executives in Indianapolis, is basically what it was. And so you learn a lot about how those farms were made and what they grew there and what they, the cattle and stuff. So if you have an interest in that, we have another one coming up, like I say, in September or October, I'm not sure which. It's only like 2 to 4 on a Saturday afternoon. Love to have you because it was great. We were standing room only, and I was excited about that. And that's thanks to these people up here that allow us to do that.
I had something I wanted to add about that. I said, you know, at the end of anything, they say, if you have any questions, contact us. And then you say, well, how do we contact them? So I actually gave out my email address, and I said, contact me and let me know what you want to see, and I got some replies. And one of them came, said, and this is, my dad and I really enjoyed the presentation at the Carmel Library on Saturday. Thank you all who put this together. I think it's valuable for our children, and I'd love to hear about, now think about this, the cemeteries, Whitechapel, the flowing well, the development of the major roads. So if there's a URL that you can give me to see the whole presentation on Linwood, I'd like that too. I think people are really interested in the history of Clay Township as they see all the old disappearing to all the new. So it's really important that we capture this and make it so the community can see it.
And Paul, by the way, I had, for you and Matt, I had people that came up afterwards and says, I said, because I told them, if you want to continue with this, you need to contact the board. And I had people come up, well, I know Paul Boland, and I know Matt Snyder. Well then, if you're interested in that, you need to get a hold of them.
I didn't give out your email addresses, just mine.
But that's all I had.
Thanks, Doug.
All right, outstanding evening. We covered a lot of ground tonight. It was fascinating, and thank you all for attending tonight.
Thank you.
May I have a motion for adjournment?
I so move.
Is there a second?
My second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned at 7:26.